You know the feeling, right? Some tiny software update happens in one corner of the company, and suddenly a totally separate system just crashes. It's this fragile, tangled mess. Well, today, we're going to unravel that mess. We'll explore a surprisingly simple way modern systems communicate that makes them flexible, scalable, and, most importantly, resilient. But let's ask the big question first. Why does this even happen? How is it that the shipping team updates their software and suddenly the billing system just grinds to a halt? It feels like a house of cards. Well, it's a super common, super frustrating problem. And today we're going to dig into the flawed thinking behind it and reveal the elegant solution that breaks that chain for good. And really, it all comes down to what you see here. On the left, you've got the tightly coupled model. Look at it. It's a tangled web, a real mess. Every system has a direct, brittle connection to every other system. It's basically a recipe for disaster. But on the right, that's the decoupled model. It's clean, it's organized. The systems aren't talking to each other anymore. They're communicating through a central hub. And that simple difference, it changes absolutely everything. So let's dive into that tangled web on the left because we really need to understand why it's such a huge problem. This is what I like to call the tightly coupled trap. See, in a tightly coupled world, all your systems are codependent. They're needy. If the billing system expects data in one specific format and the sales system changes that format even slightly, boom, the connection breaks instantly. It's a domino effect that just ripples through the entire organization. This design isn't just brittle, it's expensive to maintain, and it completely paralyzes innovation because every little change becomes this high-stakes gamble. So how do we get out of this trap? Well, instead of having every system tap every other system on the shoulder to pass a message, what if we just used a public announcement system? Seriously, think about a train station. One announcer makes a call over the loudspeaker, and everyone who needs to know hears it. That's the core idea behind a much, much smarter way for systems to communicate. Now, the technical term for this is the publish-subscribe model, or PubSub for short, and it is brilliant in its simplicity. You've got publishers, these are the systems that have something to announce, and they just shout their message into a central channel. Then you've got subscribers. These are the systems that actually care about that announcement, and they're just listening in. The magic is right there. The publisher has no idea who's listening, and the subscribers have no idea who's talking. They are completely, beautifully decoupled. And this process is just incredibly efficient. The publisher makes one announcement, just one. That message zips through the central channel, and then all the interested subscribers hear it at the same time and react on their own. Notice what's not happening. There's no direct contact. The announcer doesn't need to know who's listening or what they're going to do with the info. It just speaks once, and the whole ecosystem responds. Okay, this is a fantastic concept in theory, but let's make it real. Let's see how this works in the wild by looking at a specific technology from the Salesforce ecosystem that basically acts as this digital megaphone. So inside Salesforce, this digital megaphone is called a platform event. It's the actual tool that lets developers and architects build this flexible, event-driven communication right into their apps. This is the engine that actually makes all that decoupling we talked about happen. And using it follows our analogy perfectly. First, you create the event. That's just defining the structure of your announcement, like what info is it going to have. Then, you publish the event, which is the actual moment you make the announcement. And finally, you subscribe to it, which just means you've set up a listener to spring into action whenever that specific announcement is made. So, what does one of these announcements actually look like? Well, here's the anatomy of an order status event. Notice it's not just a random shout into the void. It's a structured message with specific, useful data, the order ID, its new status, in this case confirmed, and the amount. Any system that subscribes gets this clean, predictable packet of information, which makes it super easy to act on. So who's actually listening in? This is where the true power of this model just shines. Your subscribers can be processes right inside Salesforce, built with code like Apex or even no-code tools like Flow. But, and this is the game changer, they can also be completely external systems. We're talking about your ERP, a data warehouse, a logistics provider, all securely listening in for those important updates. All right, enough theory. Let's walk through a real-world scenario to see the incredible efficiency here. Let's follow an order on its seamless journey through the business. So our story starts with a simple action. Inside our main Salesforce system, a sales rep clicks a button, and an order status changes from pending to confirmed. That's it. Now, in the old, tightly coupled world, Salesforce would now have to make 3 separate, fragile calls, one to billing, one to shipping, one to inventory. But here, it does just one thing. It publishes a single order-confirmed event, one announcement. That's it. Salesforce's job is done. And now watch what happens. The billing system hears that announcement and poof, automatically creates an invoice. At the same time, the shipping system hears it and starts getting the package ready. And the ERP, the company's core operations system, hears it and updates inventory levels. 3 different systems, 3 different actions, all happening in parallel, all triggered by one single simple message. This is literally the one event to rule them all, a single, lightweight notification that coordinates a whole host of different systems. And here's the best part. If tomorrow we decide we need to add a new customer notification service, we just have it subscribe to the same event. We don't have to change Salesforce. We don't have to change any of the other systems. That is what true scalability looks like. When you start seeing problems and solutions this way, through events and announcements, you're really elevating your thinking. You're not just coding, you're starting to think like an integration architect. And good architects follow a few simple rules here. First, keep your events lightweight. They're meant to be notifications, not dump trucks for data. Their only job is to say, hey, something important just happened. Second, you gotta design your subscribers to be independent. They should hear the announcement and know exactly what to do next without having to ask for more info. You know, this quote from the source material just says it all. Understanding this stuff isn't just about learning a new tool. It's a fundamental mindset shift. It's about moving from building brittle one-to-one connections to designing robust ecosystems that can actually evolve and grow without constantly breaking. So I'll leave you with this final thought. As you go about your work this week, look for those tangled webs, those little domino effects that cause so much trouble, and ask yourself, what if, instead of this mess of direct connections, we just used a public announcement system? You might be surprised at how many of your most complex problems have this simple, elegant answer.